You could be destroying your prostate without even realizing it. And the worst? You may have been doing this for years. Doctors around the world have been warning about a silent problem that affects millions of men, but almost no one talks about it. There is an exact limit between what can be beneficial for the prostate and what can lead to a cycle of progressive and irreversible damage. The wrong frequency could be overloading your prostate, compromising your health, and accelerating problems that only appear when it's too late. Now stop and think. Have you ever felt like your bladder never empties completely? Have you noticed a change in the strength of your urinary flow? Or perhaps an uncomfortable pressure in the pelvic area that comes and goes for no apparent reason? The truth is that these small signs could be the first stage of something much more serious. Small changes in the prostate can go unnoticed for years until one day you are forced to deal with urinary difficulties, constant inflammation, or even abnormal growth of the gland. But is there a right frequency that keeps the prostate balanced? Is there an ideal number that prevents these problems without putting your gland's health at risk? In this video, you will finally have that answer. But be careful. What you will discover here may be completely different from what you always believed. And when you know the truth, it may be too late to continue repeating the same habits without consequences. If you want to protect your prostate before the damage becomes irreversible, stay with me until the end, because what I'm going to reveal to you could completely change the way you see your own health. You may be ignoring the signals your prostate is trying to give you. And the worst? By the time these symptoms become evident, it is often too late. Most men go years without realizing that they are harming their own health. Little annoyances come and go, so they just don't pay attention. But what few know is that these signs could be a warning that the prostate is wearing out at an accelerated rate. What if I told you that certain habits could be depleting your prostate's ability to recover? Imagine a machine that never has time for maintenance, that is always being forced to run without breaks. Over time, it starts to fail. Parts that should last for years start to wear out. And then, one day, it simply stops working properly. What happens inside your body is no different. The prostate is an extremely sensitive gland, and when subjected to excessive stress, it can develop small internal inflammations that over the years lead to a process of hardening of the prostate tissue. This means that little by little, the prostate loses its natural ability to function properly. The first signs of this wear and tear are often confused with tiredness or even natural aging. An unexpected drop in energy, difficulty maintaining energy throughout the day, and mental exhaustion that did not exist before can be directly linked to an imbalance in the functioning of the prostate. Additionally, many men notice an uncomfortable sensation in the pelvic area, as if there is constant pressure or internal discomfort that does not completely disappear. This sensation may become more evident after long periods of sitting or even at the end of the day, when the body is already exhausted. And there's more. The lack of adequate recovery of the prostate can lead to a significant reduction in the production of certain hormones, directly impacting the feeling of vitality. Many men begin to notice a drop in morale, an inexplicable lack of motivation, and even difficulty maintaining focus on simple tasks. What they don't know is that this can be a direct consequence of prostate wear and the impact of this excessive habit on the endocrine system. The big question now is there a frequency that protects the prostate from this depletion? Yes, and doctors have already warned about the safe limit that separates healthy functioning from silent and dangerous wear. If you haven't noticed these symptoms yet, consider this a valuable warning. But if you have already noticed some of these changes in your body, know that there is still time to act. If you are here, it is because you really care about your health and want to avoid problems before it is too late. This channel was created with one purpose: to prevent you from discovering prostate problems when it is too late. Sign up now, because here you will have access to vital information to protect your men's health. And now, I'm going to reveal a little discussed factor that could be accelerating this wear and tear process even further, making prostate recovery much more difficult than you imagine. What happens when an engine is pushed to the limit without time to cool down? Over time, it begins to lose efficiency, overheating and suffering internal damage that can compromise its functioning forever. The same principle applies to your prostate. Most men don't realize it, but the prostate is not an instant response organ. It has a recovery cycle that needs to be respected. When this cycle is repeatedly broken, the gland enters a state of physiological exhaustion, a problem that can be difficult to reverse. The impact of this does not happen overnight. At first, everything seems normal. The body continues to function as usual without showing any obvious symptoms. But internally, the prostate is starting to fail. Small imbalances accumulate, tissues become more rigid, the hormonal response becomes deregulated, and then, one day, the first signs begin to appear. This prostate fatigue can manifest itself in ways that many men ignore. You may notice that you are sleeping poorly, waking up tired even after a good night's sleep. This happens because the prostate influences the production of hormones responsible for the feeling of energy and well-being. And when it is overloaded, these hormones are no longer produced correctly. Another common symptom is slight pressure or discomfort in the perineal region, that area between the anus and the base of the penis. At first, it is something temporary, but as prostate wear progresses, this sensation can intensify, causing discomfort even when walking or sitting for a long time. And there is a detail that few people realize. The body tries to compensate for this fatigue in every possible way. When it realizes that the prostate is functioning poorly, it begins to redirect resources, reducing the production of some essential substances to prioritize the maintenance of the gland. The result? Unexplained muscle pain, accumulated tension in the body, and slower physical recovery after any effort. Now stop and think. Have you ever felt that your body no longer has the same resistance as before? Have you ever noticed that small, everyday activities seem to require more energy than they should? If so, this may be directly linked to the condition of your prostate. Many men think these changes are just part of aging, but they are not. They are the direct result of a cycle of prostate exhaustion that can be avoided, if identified in time. And now I want to know, have you ever noticed any of these symptoms in your body? Have you ever felt that strange feeling of persistent tiredness with no apparent explanation? If so, leave a comment saying, "I want my energy back." Your participation can help other men realize that they are not alone and that it is possible to take action before the damage becomes irreversible. Did you know that your prostate is one of the most sensitive organs in your body? Not only does it respond to physical and hormonal stimuli, but it is also connected to a complex network of nerves that interact directly with your central nervous system. And that's exactly why excess stimulation can trigger a dangerous and almost unknown side effect: prostate nervous breakdown. What does this mean in practice? It means that when exceeding the healthy limit, the prostate nerves can enter a state of uncontrolled hyperactivity, causing everything from random pain to constant tingling in the pelvic region, as if something is wrong even when there is no apparent physical problem. This happens because the prostate has a set of extremely sensitive nerve endings, responsible for regulating not only its functions, but also transmitting information to the brain about its current state. When this communication between the brain and prostate becomes imbalanced, the body begins to receive the wrong signals, generating symptoms that can persist for years. Now, imagine that your prostate works like a radio. If you keep the volume at the right level, it delivers nice, clear sound. But if you turn the volume up to maximum all the time, the speakers start to fail, producing strange noises and interference. With the prostate, the process is similar. When it receives an excess of stimuli, the nerves become exhausted and begin to send the wrong signals to the brain. And what happens when this dysfunction sets in? Pelvic pain for no apparent reason. Burning, stabbing, or pressure sensations in the perineal region can appear out of nowhere and persist for days or weeks. Some people describe it as if there was a needle pressing on the prostate, even though all tests indicate that everything is normal. Hypersensitivity and discomfort when sitting. Many men begin to notice that sitting for prolonged periods causes discomfort, as if there is a weight in the pelvic region. This symptom occurs because the inflamed nerves become highly sensitive to external pressure. Phantom sensations. Have you ever felt a vibration or tingling in your pelvic area for no apparent reason? As if something is pulsing, but when you touch it, nothing is wrong. This happens because hyperstimulated nerves continue sending signals, even when there is no real stimulus. Prostatic reflex dysfunction. The prostate depends on nerve signals to release fluids and remain active. But when the nerves collapse, the gland can begin to respond in a delayed or erratic way, compromising its functioning over time. And here's the real danger. This nervous breakdown can be irreversible if not treated in time. Unlike other prostate problems, nerve damage cannot be reversed with medication or dietary changes. Once the nerves enter a state of chronic dysfunction, symptoms can persist for months or even years, making daily life extremely uncomfortable. Worst of all, many doctors are unable to diagnose this problem easily because it does not show up on conventional exams. The patient undergoes ultrasound, MRI, laboratory tests, and everything seems normal. But he continues to experience symptoms because the problem is not in the prostate tissue itself. It is in the way the nerves are responding to the exaggerated stimulus. And now comes the big question. Is there an ideal frequency that keeps the prostate nerves functioning correctly without them entering this state of exhaustion? The answer is yes. But few men know what that limit is until it's too late. If you've ever felt any of these symptoms and never been able to find an explanation, this could be a warning from your body. Now tell me, have you ever experienced discomfort in the pelvic region that seemed to appear out of nowhere and then disappeared for no apparent reason? If so, leave a comment saying, "I need to rebalance my prostate." Your comment may help other men to realize that this problem is more common than they think, and that it is possible to act before the damage becomes irreversible. The prostate depends on efficient blood flow to function well, receiving oxygen and eliminating toxins. However, when forced to work excessively, circulation can be compromised, creating an environment of stagnation that favors inflammation and permanent damage. Without adequate blood flow, less oxygen reaches the prostate, weakening its cells and impairing their functioning. Toxins begin to accumulate, increasing the risk of inflammation and abnormal cell growth. The pelvic muscles lose strength, causing fatigue and persistent discomfort. The risk of prostatic fibrosis arises where healthy tissue is replaced by scar tissue, making the prostate rigid and dysfunctional. The worst thing is that these signs take a long time to appear. At first, it may just be mild discomfort or a feeling of heaviness in the pelvic area. But over time, symptoms can evolve into chronic fatigue, loss of sensitivity, and difficulties in physical recovery. If you've ever felt that strange feeling of tiredness in your pelvic area, as if something was sitting there, this could be a warning that your prostate is losing its ability to recover. Now I want to know, have you ever noticed this unexplained feeling of heaviness or discomfort? If so, leave a comment saying, "I want to get my prostate back healthy." Your comment may help other men realize the importance of this issue before it is too late. You've come this far, and that means you now have valuable knowledge that most men never have access to. Today, you discovered truths that no one speaks openly, understood the invisible impacts that repetitive habits can have on your prostate, and most importantly, learned how to prevent damage before it's too late. Now stop for a moment and think. How many times have you ignored signals from your own body because you thought they were normal? Small discomforts, feelings of heaviness, unexplained fatigue, all of this could be the first silent warning that your prostate is collapsing. But now you no longer have any excuses to ignore your health. You know that the wrong frequency can compromise the natural functioning of your prostate, reducing blood circulation, wearing out the prostate nerves, and weakening your gland's natural defenses. What you do from now on can define your prostate health for years to come. And the good news is that you can act in time. Many men only discover that they have prostate problems when they are already dealing with chronic pain, persistent inflammation, or even serious difficulties in the functioning of the gland. But you are here, learning before these problems happen. This already puts you steps ahead of most. Now, the big question you need to ask yourself is, what can I do today to protect my prostate? The first thing you should do is observe your own body. Pay attention to subtle signs you may be ignoring. Have you ever felt uncomfortable pressure in your pelvic area? Have you ever noticed that your energy has dropped for no apparent reason? Have you noticed that your disposition is no longer the same? If so, now is the time to act. The second thing you need to do is speak to a urologist. Don't wait for symptoms to become unbearable to seek help. The sooner you get preventative exams, the more likely you are to avoid serious problems. A simple exam can reveal a lot about the health of your prostate, and more importantly, can ensure you have a hassle-free future. And lastly, share this knowledge. What you learn today could literally save the health of another man who still has no idea of the risks he is taking. Send this video to a friend, a brother, a father, an uncle. How many men do you know who just don't talk about it? Silence is the biggest enemy of men's health, but you can change that. If you've made it this far, congratulations. This shows that you really care about your health and want to avoid problems before it's too late. I want to invite you to leave a comment saying that you watched the full video so that I can get to know you and know who is really committed to taking care of their own men's health. Also, check now if you are already subscribed to the channel. If not yet, click the subscribe button. Your subscription is what motivates me to continue bringing important content like this to you. And before you leave, there's something you need to do right now. Most men only realize that something is wrong with their prostate when it's too late. In the first pinned comment, I left a link to a playlist that can prevent this from happening to you. Watch now before it's too late.